Welcome to today's lesson. This is Wednesday's lesson. Before we get started, I had someone email me a question about what are my biggest pet peeves. Okay, so
We interrupt this lesson for today's important lesson objective. We interrupt this lesson for today's important lesson objective.
so as long as you never do any of those things, you'll be fine. So let's jump into today's lesson. We're going to be working with division again. This time some more equations that are a little bit more challenging than we had yesterday. So to start off with, we have this equation here. It says 31 is being divided by 7. So we want to rewrite this to look like the more familiar. Let's put this this way. 7 going into 31. Now what's different about today's examples is that you are going to have remainders this time. So if I look at 7 does not go directly into 31, that will not work. I'm just watching my head go back and forth. Anyway, so 7 can go into 31. If we look at our times tables here, and if I have 2, 3, 4, and 5, if I have 7 times 2, I end up with 14. If I have 7 times 3, I have 21. If I have 7 times 4, I end up with 28. And if I have 7 times 5, I have 35. So what I'm looking for is to get the number that is as close to 31 without going over. So 14, 21, 28, 35. 35, I've gone over 31, so 28 is going to be my magic number. So if I have to, now I'm going to take the 4, because 7 goes into, 7 times 4 is 28, which is as close to 31 without going over. So I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to put it in, not over the 3, because 7 does not go into 3. It goes into 31, so I have to go over the 1 and put my 4. And 7 times 4, we already said, was 28. And then I'm going to subtract these two. And when I subtract them, it doesn't work out nicely, because 1, I cannot subtract 8. So I'm going to have to do kind of what we did a few lessons back. I'm going to have to borrow 1 from this 3, so this 3 changes to become a 2. And the 1 I'm borrowing in front of it goes in front of the 1, so I now have an 11. So 11 minus 8, I get an answer of 3. 2 minus 2 cancels out, there's nothing, so I have a remainder of 3. So when you're typing your answer into Schoology, you want to make sure you're putting in a 4, and then an R, and then a 3. No spaces, no word remainder, just 4R3. And I'll go over those for the next two problems so it's fresh in your head when you're doing the work today. Before I go into the next problem, it's time for a bad joke. The bad joke right now is, I have an addiction to cheddar cheese, but it's mild. Mild cheddar cheese? No. All right. Next problem, 35 divided by 8. So I want to rewrite this so that I have my 8 going into 35. And since I'm working with 8, I want to work with the multiples of 8. So if I'm going to have 2, 3, 4, I'm going to say 5. And I'm going to write these numbers down. I'm going to multiply all of these by 8. So 2 times 8, I get an answer of 16. 3 times 8, I get an answer of 24. 4 times 8, I get an answer of 32. 5 times 8, I get an answer of 40. And I could have kept going on, 6, 7, 8, 9, but I already kind of knew where everything was going to work out. For the next problem, I think we're going to work some numbers a little bit higher than that. Anyway, so I'm looking for the number that gets as close as possible, 35 without going over. So 32 is under, 40 is over, so it can't be the 40. So I'm going to work with the 32, which means 8 can go into 35 4 times. So if I put my 4 up here on top, 8 times 4, we already said, is 32. And then I'm going to do my subtraction. 5 minus 2, I get an answer of 3. 3 minus 3 cancels out. So I'm left with an answer of 4, remainder 3. So when I'm putting that into Schoology, I'm going to type in 4R, no space, 3. And you're done. What I'd like you to do is try one more on your own. So why don't you take a look at this one and try that now. All right, so we have this answer here. Again, I'm working with multiples of 8. So I have my 8 over here, and I know what 1 times 8 is 8, but I can work on with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go up to 7. And when I multiply 2 times 8, I get an answer of 16. 8 times 3, I have an answer of 24. 8 times 4, 32. 8 times 5, 40. 8 times 6, 48. 8 times 7, 56. So I'm looking to get as close to 46 as possible. And let me rewrite this down as going 8 into 46. And close to 46 without going over. 40, 48 I've gone over, so that won't work. So that means I'm working with my 40 and my 5. So 8 can go to 46 exactly 5 times. So I'm putting that 5 over the 6. 8 times 5 we said is 40. When I do my subtraction, 6 minus 0 is 6. So I have a remainder of 6. So when you're entering this into Schoology, I'm going to have my 5 are 6. Not bad, right? All right, there's only one more type of problem for division today. And it looks very similar, except now we have 2 digits in our divisor. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as my 16 going into 80. And again, now I want to continue with my 16 times tables, except when I have 2 digits, it's better if we write this out 16 times, we'll say 2, 16 times 3, 16 times 4, 16 times 5. I'll keep going if I have to. We're going to see how far we have to go. So I'm going to put my lines into those. All right, so if I'm doing 6 times 2, I get an answer of 12. So 2, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So we have 32. Still quite short of our 80 that we're aiming for. So if I have 16 times 2 is 32, I'm looking for something much higher. I can probably skip over and go right to my 16 times 4 or even 16 times 5. Let's try 16 times 4 first. We don't want to go too far. So 6 times 4, I get an answer of 24. So the 4 comes down, the 2 is up on top. 4 times 1, I get an answer of 4, plus the 2 is 64. Still shy of my 80. Let's see what happens if I have 16 times 5. 6 times 5, I get an answer of 30. So the 0 comes down and 3 goes up on top. 5 times 1 is going to be 5, plus the 3 is 8. And what do you know? I have exactly 80. Now these problems are kind of nice, even though we have 2 digits. That's the problem part. The nice part is no remainder. So we know that 16 goes into 80 exactly 5 times. 16 times 5, 6 times 5, again, we'll check this, is 0, carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3, 80. It checks out. So in Schoology, you just have to put in a 5, no remainder, 0, nothing, just 5. Let's go on to one more example, but first, another bad joke. Why should you not write with a broken pencil? Because it's pointless. All right. Next example, 51 going into 17. So let's start here. I'm going to rewrite this as 17 going into 51. And then I'm going to have my 17 times, let's see, start with my 2. And I have 17 times 3. I can do 17 times 4. And I can keep going if I need to, but I'll just stop there for now. And then start with 17 times 2. So 7 times 2 is 14. Carry the 1. And I end up with 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And I wanted to do this in red. There we go, looks a little bit better. Put my 1 up there. So 7 times 3 is 21. Carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 51, and that's the number I'm looking for. So I don't need to go any further with my 17 times 4. So 17 goes into 51, as we said, 3 times. Not too bad. All right, why don't you try one more on your own? And here it is, 64 divided by 16. You can try that now. All right, and we're back. So I'm going to rewrite this as my 64 and 16, 16 into 64. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to keep my notes, just like you're writing this all down, I presume. All right. So I'm going to go back to the last problem I did because I had 16 times tables written over here. So if I were you, I would look at all the notes you've copied down, and I'm going to write this just like that, and I'm going to say I want to copy these notes, and I'm going to come over to this page, and I need more 16 times tables because once you've written it down once, you don't need to write it down anymore. Bam, there's all the answers from before. So we did 16 times 2, we skipped over 16 times 3, 16 times 4, 16 times 5. So we're seeing how many times 16 can go into 64, and we already know that it goes in, I'll do this in green this time, 4 times. So 16 times 4, I'll double check this again, 4 times 6 is 24. So there's the 4, the 2 comes up here. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6, and it matches up. So our answer here is going to be 4. So that's it for today's lesson. You have a couple problems to do on Schoology. When you're done, if you have questions, you're going to come see me on Zoom. If you need to answer the first question in Schoology, which says you need the secret word for today, today's secret word is going to be jump. J-U-M-P. That's it. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you. Point at the camera tomorrow. All right, bye.